How to stay calm when everyone else isn't. Most people spend their lives reacting, getting angry, offended, and thrown off balance by the smallest words or actions of others. But what if you could live untouchable? What if no one could disturb your inner peace? This is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming so aware, so rooted within, that nothing outside of you controls the inside of you. This is how you become free, not by controlling the world, but by mastering your response to it. Anger often feels automatic. Someone says something hurtful, cuts you off in traffic, disrespects you, and without thinking, your body tenses, your voice rises, and your heart rate speeds up. It feels like it just happens. But the truth is, anger is not something that happens to you. It is something you choose, whether you realize it or not. There is always a space between stimulus and response. It might be small, barely noticeable, but it's there. And in that space, you have power. You can react blindly, or you can pause, breathe, and respond from awareness. That pause is where mastery begins. Many people live like slaves to their emotions. They believe that anger is justified simply because it arose. But just because something is automatic doesn't mean it's necessary. Just because it feels urgent doesn't mean it's wise. Imagine someone lighting a match and tossing it into a dry field. That one match may be small, but if you don't act wisely, it can burn down the entire forest. Anger works the same way. One small trigger can lead to words you regret, decisions you can't undo, relationships you damage, or opportunities you destroy, all because you believed your reaction was true. But what if you trained yourself to slow down that moment? What if, instead of being dragged by the momentum of emotion, you observed it? What if you said to yourself, I feel anger rising, but I don't have to feed it. Emotions are like flames. The more attention you give them, the more oxygen they get. And the less attention you give them, the quicker they burn out. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of others' words or actions. You are not a puppet whose strings are pulled by outside forces. You are the one who decides whether to engage or to stay grounded. And staying grounded doesn't mean you suppress or avoid your feelings. It means you respond with clarity, not chaos. In the heat of the moment, your mind will tempt you. It will whisper. You must defend yourself. You must teach them a lesson. You must show them you're not weak. But here's the paradox. True strength lies in not needing to prove anything at all. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can lash out. But very few can stay calm when provoked. Very few can remain still when challenged. Very few can carry peace into conflict. This does not mean you allow disrespect. It does not mean you accept abuse or stay silent in the face of injustice. But it means you address it from a place of clarity, not from rage. You say what must be said without losing yourself. You draw boundaries with firmness, not fury. That's power. Consider how many times anger has made situations worse. How often have you regretted what you said when you were angry? How often have you wished you had paused, breathed, and waited before reacting? Each of those moments was a lesson. Each was an invitation to practice choosing your response instead of being trapped in reaction. When you take ownership of your emotions, no one can control you. They can try to provoke you, insult you, ignore you, but if you do not react, you win. Not over them, but over yourself. That is a real victory. That is emotional maturity. People often carry their pain and pour it onto others. They shout not because of you, but because they don't know how to deal with their inner conflict. If you absorb it, you become a container for their suffering. But if you remain aware, you let their pain pass through without touching your peace. You become like a mirror, reflecting but not reacting. This takes practice. It takes self-awareness. It takes failing and trying again. You will not master your reactions overnight. But every time you pause instead of explode, every time you choose stillness over shouting, you rewire your brain. You become less reactive, more calm, more free. The world is full of chaos. People are unpredictable. Life is messy. But your inner state does not have to match that chaos. You can be the calm in the storm. You can be the still water in a world that is drowning in noise. And when you are, something powerful happens. People feel it. They trust it. They are drawn to your peace because it is rare. So the next time you feel anger rising, ask yourself, is this reaction worth my energy? Is it worth my peace? Most of the time, the answer is no. Let the moment pass. Let the emotion burn out and return to yourself, calm, present, untouchable. Because in the end, no one can make you angry without your permission, and you hold the key to your inner world. Guard it wisely. Choose peace. When someone criticizes you, ignores you, lashes out at you, or treats you with hostility, your first instinct might be to take it personally. You may ask, what did I do wrong? Or feel the need to defend yourself. But more often than not, the way others treat you is not a reflection of who you are. It is a mirror of who they are. Their inner world, their thoughts, their fears, their pain, their insecurities, all of it shapes their behavior, and what spills out of them is what already lives within them. A peaceful person does not create conflict. A kind person does not mock others. A secure person does not try to make others feel small. So when someone acts out in anger, jealousy, rudeness, or coldness, understand that they are showing you their internal state, not making a statement about your worth. This understanding is not just a concept. It is a way of living that frees you from emotional captivity. When you stop taking everything personally, you liberate yourself from the prison of other people's moods and projections. You realize, this is not mine to carry, and with that clarity, you walk away lighter, calmer, untangled from emotional traps. If a glass is filled with dirty water, it will spill dirty water when shaken. If it is filled with clean water, it will spill purity. The same is true for people. What is inside them, pain or peace, love or fear, will show itself when life shakes them. And if you happen to be nearby when that spill happens, remember, you are not the cause. You are simply the surface their truth was spilled onto. Think about the times when you yourself were in pain. Perhaps you were stressed, anxious, heartbroken, and in that state, maybe you were short with someone, impatient, or closed off. Was your behavior about them or about what you were carrying inside? Most likely, it was your own weight that made you act out. Others are no different. Everyone is carrying something. Some people carry unhealed trauma. Others carry unmet expectations, suppressed anger, or fears they've never voiced. And instead of healing, they project. This projection comes in many forms. Some people criticize you because they are harsh with themselves. Some ignore you because they are afraid of intimacy. Some talk down to you because they feel inferior deep inside and try to mask it with arrogance. It's not about you. It's about the stories they tell themselves when they are alone. That does not mean their actions are acceptable. It does not mean you tolerate disrespect, but it means you don't internalize it. You don't make it your identity. You can say, "This is not mine," and set a boundary without taking on their baggage. Learning this is like building emotional armor, not made of steel, but of awareness. You are not cold or numb, but clear. You see things as they are. You respond to the reality behind the mask. And because you're not reactive, you stay in your power. Even compliments, praise, and admiration from others can reflect their own world. When someone praises you for your kindness, it might be because they are finally encountering something they lacked. When someone is drawn to your calmness, it might be because they are searching for it in themselves. What they see in you is often a reflection of what they desire, admire, or are missing in their own lives. The opposite is also true. When they attack you, it may be because your light exposes their darkness. Your growth challenges their stagnation. Your freedom reminds them of the cage they haven't escaped. Your strength makes them confront their weakness. It can be uncomfortable for people to witness someone who is what they are afraid to become. And instead of looking inward, they lash outward. Don't shrink for their comfort. Don't change just to please the insecure. Don't respond just to make them feel better. Stay centered. You are not a sponge for the emotional mess of others. You are your own space, your own peace. And that peace deserves protection. So the next time someone treats you poorly, pause and ask what is going on in them that makes them act this way. This simple question shifts your perspective. It replaces reaction with curiosity, hurt with compassion. You may not condone their behavior, but you no longer let it own you. You observe without absorbing. And in doing so, you maintain your clarity. You give yourself permission to walk away without guilt. You stop explaining your worth to people who are not in a place to see it. You stop engaging in battles that are not yours. You free yourself from a cycle of emotional entanglement. Everyone is a mirror. What they show you says more about them than about you. The way they speak, the way they react, the way they love or push away, all of it is information about their inner world. Your only responsibility is to stay anchored in yours. You do not need to fix anyone. You do not need to carry their emotions. You simply remain present, aware, and compassionate. First to yourself and then to others. That is how peace is practiced. That is how you stay grounded, even when others are not. Let them show who they are. You continue to be who you are. That is power. That is freedom. Inner peace is not something you stumble upon by accident, nor is it something someone else can hand you. It is something you cultivate moment by moment through awareness, choices, and discipline. And the most important truth about inner peace is this: no one can take it from you unless you give them permission. Life is unpredictable. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. Things will happen that are beyond your control. But even amidst the chaos, you still have control over one thing: how you relate to it all. Your peace does not depend on everything going right. It depends on your ability to remain centered even when everything goes wrong. You may feel tempted to blame others when your peace is disturbed. He made me angry. She stressed me out. They ruined my day. But these are illusions. No one can force you to feel anything. What others do is outside your control. What you do with it, that is entirely yours. When someone cuts you off in traffic, the event lasts a few seconds, but you can spend the next hour replaying it in your mind, growing more frustrated with each retelling. The event didn't steal your peace. Your attachment to the event did. When someone speaks to you with disrespect, you can choose to breathe and detach, or you can carry their words like stones in your chest, letting them poison your mood, your day, even your relationships. Again, your peace wasn't taken. It was surrendered. Realizing this is not about blame. It is about power. Because if your peace depends on the world being perfect, you will always be at the mercy of circumstances. But if you accept that peace begins within you and that you are its guardian, then no one, not a stranger, not a critic, not even someone you love, can take it unless you open the gate. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you become wise. You begin to see how much of your suffering is self-inflicted through overthinking, holding grudges, or clinging to control. And as you let go of these habits, your mind becomes quieter, your reactions slower, and your life more spacious. Inner peace is not about escaping the world or avoiding pain. It is about meeting everything as it is without being shattered by it. It is about watching your thoughts without drowning in them. It is about feeling your emotions without being controlled by them. It is a kind of stillness that exists underneath all experiences, a steady flame that stays lit no matter how strong the wind blows. To protect this peace, you must become conscious of what you allow in. Every day, you are exposed to noise, opinions, distractions, and judgments. You are bombarded with energy, some of it healing, some of it heavy. And if you are not intentional, you will absorb everything. You will react to everything. And your inner world will become a reflection of external noise instead of a sanctuary of quiet strength. That is why boundaries are not just for others, they are for your own peace. You are not obligated to engage with everyone. You are not required to argue, to explain, to carry other people's burdens. You are allowed to say, this energy is not welcome here. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to choose silence over chaos, solitude over drama, stillness over endless motion. Your peace is precious. It is not a weakness. It is the foundation of clarity, of patience, of wisdom. When you protect it, you show the world that you value your inner life more than temporary satisfaction. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to fix every misunderstanding. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You only need to be aligned with yourself. And yes, this is a practice. You will forget. You will get pulled in. You will hand over your peace at times and realize later that it wasn't worth it. But each time you remember, each time you return, you grow stronger. You start to recognize the warning signs, the tight chest, the shallow breath, the spiraling thoughts, and you pause. You come back, you breathe, and you reclaim what is yours. No one is responsible for your peace but you, not your partner, not your parents, not your friends, not your job, not the world. Waiting for others to behave a certain way so you can feel calm is a never-ending trap. But taking full ownership of your inner world is liberation. You don't have to react just because something provokes you. You don't have to reply just because someone expects it. You don't have to carry weight that doesn't belong to you. You have the right to protect your space, not just your physical space, but your mental and emotional space. And in that protection, you discover something powerful. The more you commit to your peace, the less anything disturbs you, not because the world changed, but because you did. You began to value your stillness more than your ego. You began to choose presence over performance. You began to respond instead of react. You stopped blaming others for the storms and instead built a shelter within. Peace is not passive. It is not something you stumble upon when life calms down. It is something you actively maintain, like a sacred fire. It is a daily choice, a moment-by-moment decision. And no one, no matter how loud, how rude, how close to you, can take it away unless you let them. So hold your peace close. Guard it like your most sacred possession. Because in a world full of chaos, the ability to remain calm is not only rare, it is transformative. In a world where noise is often mistaken for authority and reaction is mistaken for strength, stillness can appear weak to the untrained eye. But those who understand the nature of true power know that stillness is not the absence of force, it is the presence of mastery. It is not passivity, it is precision. It is not surrender, it is sovereignty over self. To remain calm in the face of chaos, to hold your ground when others push, to respond without being pulled into emotional turbulence, this is a strength most people never develop. It's easy to raise your voice. It's easy to react with anger. It's easy to let your emotions dictate your behavior. What's difficult is to remain unmoved when every part of you is tempted to act out. That's not a weakness. That's inner discipline. Stillness doesn't mean silence in every situation. It means the noise within you is quiet. It means you don't need to prove anything. You don't rush to defend, to retaliate, to dominate. You see clearly without fogging your vision with emotional heat. And because you see clearly, you move with precision. You speak with impact. You act with intention. You are not flailing. You are focused. Imagine two people in a heated argument. One shouts, throws insults, and fails their arms. The other breathes deeply, stands calmly, and listens without reaction. To the surface eye, the louder one seems stronger. But look again, the one who remains calm controls the direction. The one who listens without reacting holds the space. The storm rages, but they are the eye, the still center. That's power. Most people confuse reaction with courage. But courage is not about being loud. It's about being grounded. When you are calm in conflict, you have access to your full awareness. You're not driven by emotion, but by clarity. You can assess the situation. You can sense what's needed. You can act wisely, not impulsively. This level of presence is a rare skill, and it separates leaders from followers, the mature from the immature. It takes deep inner work to reach this point. You must know your own patterns. You must know what triggers you and why. You must become aware of the stories your mind tells you when you feel challenged or disrespected. You must learn to observe your emotional ways without letting them steer the ship. This self-mastery is cultivated through practice, not by avoiding conflict, but by moving through it with awareness. Stillness also means you don't allow others to control your behavior. When someone is angry with you, they are handing you a rope, hoping you'll tug back. They want to engage you on their level. But when you stay still, when you choose not to pick up that rope, the dynamic changes. You are no longer reacting, you are leading. And in that moment, you are not just protecting your energy, you are teaching by example. Stillness is not suppression. It's not about battling your feelings or pretending everything is fine. That's denial, not strength. Real stillness means you feel the heat of your anger, the sting of your pain, but you don't act from that place. You breathe, you acknowledge the emotion, you allow it to rise and fall without feeding it. And when the noise fades, you respond from a place of alignment. There is power in restraint, power in patience, power in the ability to wait, to watch, to let others reveal themselves. Most people speak too quickly, act too fast, burn bridges. They didn't need to burn, but the one who waits, who observes, who chooses their moment, that person is a master of energy. They move when it matters, and when they do, it is impactful. Stillness also invites others to meet you at a higher frequency. When you refuse to match their chaos, they are forced to confront their own behavior. They may not like it. They may try harder to provoke you, But eventually, they see that your calm is not weakness, it is power. And power that cannot be provoked is intimidating, not because it's aggressive, but because it's unshakable. To be still is to know that your peace is more valuable than proving a point, that your time is more sacred than winning an argument, that your energy is too precious to be spent on those who only understand drama. And from this knowing, you move differently. You speak less. You listen more. You stop reacting to every provocation. You start choosing your battles carefully. And often you find that many of them are not even worth fighting. Stillness is clarity in the noise. It is wisdom in the heat. It is dignity in the face of disrespect. It is choosing to remain in your power when others have lost theirs. It is the strength of the mountain, not loud, not moving, but undeniable in presence. The world needs more people who can stay calm when things go wrong, who can be the anchor when everyone else is drifting, who can show through their being that true power does not scream. It whispers, it breathes, it remains. So when you are faced with conflict, when someone tries to drag you into their storm, when life shakes your foundation, remember, you do not need to react to prove your strength. Sometimes the strongest move is no move at all. Sometimes the most powerful response is stillness. There is a moment when you begin to realize that you are not the voice in your head. You are not the storm of emotions that pass through you. You are not your anger, your fear, your sadness, or even your joy. You are the one who watches them come and go. You are the awareness behind the feeling, the still presence that remains untouched, no matter how intense the emotion becomes. This realization, this quiet truth, is the beginning of freedom. Detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means not caring, being numb, or becoming cold. But detachment is not the absence of emotion, it is the absence of bondage. It means you still feel deeply even, but you do not lose yourself in what you feel. You don't become consumed by it. You don't confuse temporary emotions for permanent identity. You observe without identifying. When you are attached to every emotion that arises, you become reactive. You say things in anger that you regret. You make decisions in fear that limit you. You pursue things in excitement that leave you empty later. You ride emotional highs and crash into emotional lows. You are tossed around by every wave, never realizing that the true you is the ocean beneath it all, still vast and undisturbed. When you begin to detach, you do not suppress what you feel. You welcome it, but you watch it like a visitor. You say, sadness is here today, or I feel anger rising. But you don't become it. You don't let it speak for you. You sit with it, breathe through it, and allow it to leave when it's ready, like clouds moving across the sky. Your emotions shift and transform, but the sky remains unchanged. This practice of observing rather than identifying gives you a kind of power that very few people ever access. Because most people are slaves to their emotions. They chase what feels good and run from what feels bad. They are constantly trying to control life so they can feel a certain way. But in truth, the only thing you ever need to control is your relationship to what arises inside of you. When you detach from needing to feel good all the time, you become fearless. When you stop resisting pain, you stop suffering. Pain is part of life. Suffering is your refusal to accept it. Detachment allows you to meet life with clarity. You see things as they are, not through the lens of what you wish or fear them to be. You stop clinging to outcomes, to people, to stories. You begin to let go, not in despair, but in trust. You start to understand that everything changes, everything passes, and trying to grip tightly only creates tension. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means making space for something new to enter. So many of our struggles come from attachment. We attach to how people should treat us, and when they don't, we feel pain. We attach to an identity, strong, successful, kind, and when something challenges that identity, we feel lost. We attach to relationships, to plans, to emotions, to outcomes. And each attachment becomes a rope that tightens around us when life pulls in the opposite direction. Detachment cuts those ropes, not so you float away, but so you can move freely. It's not indifference, it's independence. It's saying, I can love without possession. I can care without control. I can feel deeply and still remain at peace. That is freedom. That is a strength. This kind of inner freedom doesn't happen overnight. It takes presence. It takes patience. It takes practice. You have to catch yourself in the moment of identification and step back. You have to remind yourself, this emotion is visiting me. It is not me. You return to your breath. You sit in stillness. You feel the emotion in your body, tightness, heat, restlessness. And instead of resisting, you allow it. You become curious. You soften. And slowly, the emotion shifts, because emotions, when not fed, dissolve. This is where healing happens, not by denying emotions, but by witnessing them fully without fear. When you can be present with even the most painful emotion without needing to run or numb it, you reclaim your power. You no longer fear your own mind. You no longer need life to behave a certain way for you to feel safe. You understand now nothing outside of you needs to change for you to find peace. What needs to change is how you relate to the experience. When you stop gripping, everything flows. When you stop identifying, everything softens. You remain the one who watches, the one who breathes, the one who knows that no feeling lasts forever, no matter how loud or overwhelming it seems in the moment. And in that space of awareness, you begin to notice something beautiful. Joy becomes deeper, not because you chase it, but because you no longer fear its loss. Love becomes freer because it is no longer built on possession. Peace becomes your natural state, not something you have to search for, but something you return to again and again within yourself. You are not here to control every emotion. You are here to meet them with presence, to let them rise and fall like waves while you remain anchored. You are not the storm, you are the sky. That is the power of detachment. That is freedom. In the end, peace is not something you stumble upon in the outer world. It is something you create moment by moment within yourself. The path to unshakable calm is not paved with perfection, silence, or the absence of difficult people. It is built through awareness, discipline, and a deeper understanding of who you truly are beneath all reaction. You are not your anger. You are not what others project onto you. You are not a victim of circumstance or an emotional puppet pulled by outside forces. You are the stillness behind the noise, the presence behind the storm, the observer behind the feeling. And when you remember this, you step into a life where your peace is no longer negotiable. You begin to respond with clarity instead of reacting in chaos. You begin to let go without guilt. You begin to understand that calm is not weakness. It is your greatest strength. In detachment, you find freedom. In stillness, you find power. In the presence, you find peace. No one can give this to you. And no one can take it away unless you let them. So return to yourself. Return to your breath. Return to the space within where nothing can disturb you unless you allow it. because that is where true mastery begins, not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. And once you do, nothing outside you can ever truly bother you again.